So yesterday I cleaned out my aquaponics beds. I cleaned out the pump, put the pump back together, get it all hooked up, and nothing. It's dead. No water's coming out of it. So basically my pump died. I was under the gun. I ran inside and I found a pump that I use for the inside aquaponics that I'm not using right now. And I came out here and just real quick got something going just so water's still moving. But after a while I found the other pump that I have for a spare, so I'm gonna hook that up and get this thing going the right way. So that's the pump that died on me. That was originally here in the koi pond when we moved here. That thing's been running for years. It's been a great pump. This is the replacement one I've got. I think it's pretty much about the same pump. I've been sitting on it for about a year or so. Anyway, had to scramble to find it. I couldn't remember what I did with it. And this is what I did just to keep water moving. The pump that's hooked up there, the setup is different. I couldn't hook it up to a hose and actually run it through the piping here. So it was just, I was under the gun. I had to do something. That was the quickest thing I could come up with. So let's get this bad boy hooked up and get this puppy running right. So with the old pump, you can see there's the fittings there for a regular hose. But with this new pump, it's kind of set up a little differently. I don't have the same type of fittings for it. So what I'm going to have to do is take this off and then basically put it onto this, and then this is gonna screw into there. So I'm gonna have a new arrangement for how this is set up this time around. Okay, so the new pump is up and running. This thing's primed and ready to go. This evening I will definitely be putting some plants in. So for you new guys that weren't around for last year following this, basically what goes on here is the fish produce waste, the pump brings water up through the hose right here and into these beds. The beds act as a filter for solid waste, and basically what happens is the water fills up to that standpipe right there, and then it starts to overflow in the standpipe. Then this will be sitting on top of it, and what happens is there's a little suction of air that gets trapped in there, and what happens is once the water starts overflowing into that standpipe, it basically pushes that little pocket of air down, and then it creates a siphon. The bed flushes itself empty until it reaches this point, at which it starts to gurgle, air gets back in, it breaks the siphon, and then the bed fills up again full of water. So it's a constant flood and flush. So that's, while all that's going on, then I also have this other pipe here that's always releasing water. Basically water's coming up and coming through this pipe here, and then so much of it's going up into the beds, but then it's also coming back around, and I can control how much I'm letting in there and going back in there. That way there's always something agitating the water, creating bubbles, always producing oxygen. Oh, okay, so that one just started its siphon. That bed is going to basically flush itself. And this is exactly the reason why I have this one always going, because these beds are always filling up and flushing at different times. So there's always something agitating the water with the one that's not connected to a bed. But I also told you guys that, not only are these beds acting as a filter for the solids, but the plants are basically going to be feeding off of the ammonia, the nitrates that are produced as well. So I don't have to water, I don't have to add any type of fertilizer for plants. It's a great system. And that one just gurgled, and there goes the suction, it's breaking. All right, so I actually got something planted in the aquaponics here. Now right over here, these are tomato plants. They were volunteers in my compost pile, so I pulled those up, cleaned the roots off as best I could, and got them planted in here. I don't have a clue what they are as far as what kind of tomato plants they are, but I didn't have anything else better to throw in there. So I already know what's going to happen with this bed. These things are going to grow. They're going to get to a certain point where the roots start going into the bell siphon there, and it's going to stop it from flooding and draining. At that point, I'm just going to pull the bell siphon, and it'll just be a constant flow. I know everything will be okay when I do that, because that's what happened to me last year. It's just a matter of time before I get to that point, and that's the problem that I encounter. But whatever, I'm just gonna go for it. And then over here in this bed, Now this bed had the most residual amount of roots in it from last year. So I only planted, I got sugar pumpkin. And I got one here and one there on the far end of each one. So it'll be a while before these get to that point to where they do anything. And I got them, anyway, I got them where I got them, so it hopefully it get to the end of the season before it starts to clog that up. But the bottom line is these beds are just too small. I know I probably wouldn't have this problem with the beds getting clogged if I would just stick with like small leafy greens and lettuces and stuff like that. But at this point it's too hot to do that, and I know the system will grow the fruiting plants. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I'm gonna deal with it, but I gotta try and get something going. Do what I can to make something out of this season here. So I got pumpkins going there, I got tomatoes going there, and I don't have anything going in this far bed just because I really want to put some cucumbers in there. And what I have as far as cucumbers right now goes, they're not big enough to come outside yet. So, and I really don't have the capabilities to go out and buy a bunch of plants. So give it a few days and I'll put some cucumbers in that one, and then I'll trellis them off to the side, just like I'm going to with this. The pumpkins I'll end up trellising off to the side. So anyway, something's going, it's better than nothing. I know what problems I'm gonna face going into this, but at this point I'm just going for the gold. We're gonna see what happens and give it our best.